1, 2, 3, 4.
Chant down Babylon kingdom, team make we chant down Vatican now. Bang bang bang, chant down Babylon kingdom, team make we chant down Vatican now. Chant down Babylon kingdom, team make we chant down Vatican now. Bang bang bang, chant down Babylon kingdom, team make we chant down Vatican now.
What up, y'all? It's the Babylon 5 podcast. It's your boy, Jermaine Events. How are you guys doing? I hope you guys have been phenomenal since the last time you heard from your boy. I hope you've been phenomenal since the last time you heard from your boy. This is episode 141, ladies and gentlemen. We getting up there. This is episode 141. Calling this bad boy 2D Bone. All right? Episode 141 is going to be called 2D Bone. Because I am Trini 2D Bone. Sweet TNT. Anywho, we're going to get into that a little bit later. All right, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to get into that a little bit later. In this week, we're going to talk about... I'll briefly touch on my owie. I got an owie here. Just suffered an owie at work. We're going to briefly touch on that. Then we're going to touch on Ozark. Ozark as a series. I'm not trying to I just finished watching the series finale. I just watched the whole second half of the last season. And I'm not trying to get into spoilers necessarily, but I'm trying to just talk about the series as a whole. All right? And of course, we got to talk about Atlanta season 3, episode 7. I think it's episode 7, which is called Trini 2D Bone, ladies and gentlemen. So you see where I get the name of this episode, 2D Bone. Trini 2D Bone. You got, and of course, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to talk about UFC Vegas briefly. I'll be honest with you guys. I only got a chance to watch about 2 of those fights. It was pretty busy at work that day. And I just decided to work instead of not working and watching fights. So I didn't watch a lot of these fights at UFC Vegas 53, but we're going to talk about that. And we have to. We couldn't leave. I'd be remiss if we didn't talk about fucking UFC 274, ladies and gentlemen. Headlined by my boy Du Bronx, Charles Oliveira, defending his championship against Justin Gaethje. Also, at UFC 274, you have Rose Namajunas fighting, she's fighting out of Denver, Colorado, but from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, ladies and gentlemen. Rose Namajunas defends her championship against Carla Esparza in a rematch. The first time they fought was for the inaugural championship, which that fight was won by Carla Esparza. And now we have Rose Namajunas as champion, Carla Esparza as challenger in the rematch. And we'll see how that goes. Also in that card, you got Tony Ferguson taking on Michael Chandler. I've already given my thoughts on that. I've honestly got a few new thoughts on it, so we're going to touch on that in a little bit. But it's generally the same opinion. And generally, if you guys want to follow this podcast on Instagram and Twitter, it's at Babylon5Pod. You guys can email this podcast at Babylon5podcast@gmail.com. You guys can hit that like button anywhere you're listening to this podcast. I'd appreciate it very much. If you guys are on Twitch, go ahead and follow your boy. Go to twitch.tv/Babylon5. You guys can cop some merchandise by going to teespring.com/stores/BOFpod-shop. Cop yourself some Babylon 5 podcast merchandise today. And lastly, ladies and gentlemen, don't just be my Niji, be my patron. Be my patron. Head on over to patreon.com/Babylon5pod and you can be my patron today. I was thinking I haven't uploaded to the Patreon in a little bit, but I was like, nigga, whenever I be like off from work, like my days off, I'm like this feels like a good day to make a podcast, make a vlog, just not upload it to like Podbean and all that shit. Just like do a vlog and upload that straight to the Patreon. But that would be the I digress. But I end up usually playing 2K. That's just how I go. All right. I always be like, yo, this seems like a good day to do a podcast. Sometimes I write out a script. Sometimes I write out a full script. And before it gets going, I end up playing 2K. I'm just a nigga, all right? I'm just a nigga. I end up playing 2K half the time. And I said to myself, I'm just going to finish this season up. And then we're not playing 2K for a little bit. But here I am, 21 games in on the next season. Here I am. There I go, there I go, there I go, there I go. I don't know if that's like an actual song. I just heard when it was from the movie Fat Albert. One of them niggas started singing that shit. There I go, there I go, there I go, there I go. And it always stuck with me. It always stuck with me. I don't even know if that's a real song or just a nigga singing random shit in the movie Fat Abbott. Hey, 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 it's Fat Abbott. It's Fat Abbott. Anywho, I forget who did that parody. Maybe it was like, I think South Park did the parody of Fat Albert and called it Fat Abbott. Just the same character, just Fat Abbott. Just Fat Abbott. Shout out to South Park. It's great. Speaking of great, Ozark, Netflix original series starring my boy, Jason Bateman. Now, I pretty much will watch anything with Jason Bateman in it. You know what I'm saying? Just pretty much anything. Ever since Arrested Development came out, you know what I'm saying? I've always been an Arrested Development fan. I remember this one time, this person, I was living in Madison, they were saying, I put on Arrested Development. We were kicking it, and I put on Arrested Development. And they were like, oh, yeah, blah, blah, blah. I don't know, it was like trend. It started to trend at that point. This is before, like, the new seasons or whatever came out. This is when it was just, like, they had just put it on Netflix. Like, because it was like everybody was raving about this show years after it was canceled. So it had just got put on Netflix, and motherfuckers was like, "Oh, I was just starting to watch this too," and I'm like, "Nah, I've seen all of it. All right, I watched it before. All right, I watched it when it was new every Sunday." And they were like, "You're a fucking hipster," and I was like, "Holy fuck! I didn't even realize." I didn't even realize I was a hipster, and at that point, I needed to accept it. But ever since Arrested Development, ladies and gentlemen, I've been pretty all in on Jason Bateman. I like that Spelling Bee movie he did. That was pretty cool. Pretty much anything with Jason Bateman is cool. He's a pretty good actor. He can. He's kind of the same nigga and everything. Low key, he's kind of the same nigga and everything, but it works. Like, tell me Marty Bird is not Michael Bluth. Tell me they not the same nigga. It only, like, Marty he doesn't have the fucking supporting cast to be hilarious. You know what I'm saying? But tell me Marty ain't Michael Bluth. Tell me that they're not basically the same character. In that fucking Spelling Bee movie, he was basically just Marty who was trying to win these fucking spelling bees as an adult. But Ozark, don't let what I'm saying here confuse you. This show is phenomenal. From the beginning, first episode, if we want to talk about anything, any potential spoiler alerts as I'm just babbling here. I'm just babbling. I don't know. The first episode, they introduce Marty, which is Jason Bateman's character, and he's... What is he, an accountant? I don't know what the fuck he does. That one little thing, like he's one aspect of it. Like he has a legit business, but the real thing that he's doing is laundering money for the cartel, for a Mexican drug cartel. Like that's the underbelly of it all. So in the first episode, they introduce Marty, who's meeting with these people for whatever reason, to do business with him. And meanwhile, while he's meeting with these people, he's watching a video that his private detective sent him of his wife, Wendy, fucking her lover. You know what I'm saying? And he's watching that while these clients are sitting there in the office with him. His partner, Bruce, comes in and is just like, give him a look like, what the fuck is going on here? And he like wraps that whole thing up. But that whole scene right there, I was like, holy fuck, what's going on here? There was one scene in the first episode where he like, I don't know, where they had it where like some woman was going down on him in a car, and then some other woman fucking knocks on the window, was like, hey, this is a place of business, you can't be jerking off here. And the nigga just like is alone in the car and like puts his dick away. I was like, even at the end of this season, the end of this series, all right, what the fuck was that scene? That scene was weird. But other than that scene there that never made any sense, I was like, they better go back into it. I was like, oh, does Marty just like fucking hallucinate from time to time? Does he just have these real fucking hardcore ass daydreams? Like, is that just going to be a reoccurring theme here? That was in the first episode, and that was the last fucking time that ever happened again. And never was addressed. I'm still sitting here like fucking 5 years later, like, yo, what happened when the nigga was jacking off in the car thinking some girl was blowing him? And the lady's like, hey, this is a place of business. You can't be jacking off here. That scene's fucking weird, bro. In hindsight, that's the weirdest shit ever right there. Why was that scene in the whole fuck? I need to ask Jason Bateman, why was the scene in the first episode where you're fucking jerking off in your car, why did y'all put that scene in the fucking show? It makes no sense. It's not like Marty's just this deviant. Marty's a pretty respectable dude to his wife in light of all this shit. So that scene doesn't make any sense in the overall scheme of a generally great told story. When it first came out, people were comparing it to Breaking Bad, and I'm like, nah, bro. Just finish the first episode, and it'll show you how this is not Breaking Bad. This is something completely different, and it's great. It's fucking great. I'm happy I watched this show. Happy to experience it. Not sure the actress who plays Ruth Langmore's real name, but she played her fucking ass off. I'll tell you that much. She played her fucking ass off. She did that fucking Anna Delvey movie too. Let's look at this cast. Her name's Julia Garner. Julia Garner. She fucking acted her ass off, all right? She acted her ass off. Shout out to Julia Garner, man. Laura Linney is her name? Fuck. Lady that plays the wife, Wendy Bird. Dude, I wanted Wendy to die honestly, in the first episode, there was a moment where it was like she could have got killed in the first episode. My nigga Marty was like, nah, let her live. Let her live. On some real boss shit. He could have had her taken out right now, and that would have fucking... I mean, it would have ended the whole fucking show. It wouldn't have been interesting anymore, but she was the cause of most problems. I was always feeling like that should be how the show ends. With the death of Wendy, at least. Nigga, at least. At least. It was a pretty dope show. Pretty amazing characters with the mob boss Omar Navarro when he was introduced. The lawyer Helen Pierce, who's the cartel lawyer, just super badass, tall, so it's just like naturally intimidating. Nah, it's an overall phenomenal series. If you guys have not seen Ozark, go ahead and get on over there. I don't know how much more I could babble. I mean, I could babble on and on about this, but I think I would be babbling to no end. I'd have to make this whole episode, and then next week's episode, and then the next few episodes after that, just to keep babbling about as much as I'd like to babble about this show. There's honestly some things that happened. I was like, well, that makes no sense now. Well, now that had nothing to do with anything. There's a few moments where it was just like, well, I guess that was just for entertainment value. But it's a great show. The overall story is pretty cool. The characters that they bring in, the various characters, just this whole country fucking, just trailer park fucking ass niggas just scheming. It's crazy. It's interesting. It's pretty interesting. Makes me not want to go to the South. I don't want to travel nowhere, nigga. I don't be wanting to travel nowhere. I told you niggas we went up north. And I was like, fuck. They're just as racist as I imagine the South. If not more. They're just as racist as I had imagined the South. If not more. You know what I'm saying? I noticed here. I just noticed, because I'm recording video with Here I Can, and I said I was going to talk about my owie here. Right now I see my owie. I didn't mention it. I almost forgot to mention it. I didn't put it in my notes because I just figured I'm going to see this finger. Right now I got it in a splint, if you will. I got my finger in a splint because just a freak accident at work, man. I was like moving these small plastic pallets, just kind of tossing them. And they're not the heaviest, all right? And just like some freak accident, the way the fucking, my hand, the pallet was coming, I like kind of like tossed it kind of haphazardly. And it was, I think my hand might have went over the fucking handle, which is why it was there. And the pallet came down on it like right here. And like now it just fucking hurts to like bend my index finger or fucking fully extend it. It's fucking painful. So I just got to keep it in this position as much as possible. This is the most comfortable I've felt. It was like 3.5 hours of just working with one hand because I was like, nigga, I told my boss, I was like, yo, it's over for my hand right now, bro. I was like, I'm not finna go home unless you tell me, unless you want me to. I'm gonna just keep working, but like, I can't even grab shit with this right here without excruciating pain. There's a lot of pain. So that's my owie. Dropped a fucking pallet on my hand. It wasn't a heavy pallet. It was a lighter plastic pallet, but it was like the edge of it just fucking hit me in the right spot. My hand was like, for whatever reason, on top of the fucking pallet jack handle. As I'm thinking, I'm like, man, it doesn't even make sense that it happened that way, but it did. It fucking happened that way. I wanted to see the camera footage. Because I'm like, what the fuck? How did that happen? I was fucking rolling through today. I was doing a lot of shit. And then that kind of just fucked me over. All of a sudden, I'm sitting here rubbing fucking pain relief cream on my hand, popping ibuprofens, nigga. Yeah, I threw the S on there intentionally. Taking ibuprofens. And I'm just like, I was like, let me take a break real quick and do all this shit. And by the end of it, I'm like, yo, I'm still in terrible pain. Matter of fact, I was trying to massage the area as I was rubbing in that pain relief cream. And it's like, I feel worse now. I feel like I'm aggravating whatever's going on in there. And they're like, oh, maybe it's just a bruise. I was like, I don't see any bruising. So whatever's going on there is not a bruise. Something's going on. I'm in a lot of pain. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens tomorrow. Wake up tomorrow, and if I'm still in a lot of pain, then we'll go from there. But I don't want to have to do any fucking nonsense. I don't want to go to, like, any hospitals or anything like that. That's not what your boy would like to spend his time to do. You know, if I said I was going to go to the doctor, I'd probably just end up playing 2K. Nigga, that's just how it ends up happening. I'd probably just end up playing 2K. Because it's great. And you know what else is great? Atlanta, my nigga. This TV show Atlanta. I've never been to the city, but I did have dreams of moving there at one point. This latest episode of Atlanta, it's called Trini to the Bone, ladies and gentlemen. And none of the main characters in there. I knew an episode without the main characters. Another episode without the main characters was coming up because they had a few so far. The first episode, I think, and at least one more, where the guy, where the reparations, and then the episode where the little boy got taken from his family and put with the white people, and they were microwaving raw chicken, making niggas eat that shit. It was fucking terrible, but I knew they were due for another episode without any of the main characters, and this one did not disappoint. It followed this family, this white family, this affluent family in fucking New York, and it's just like a husband and wife and their young son, and the young son has, or apparently had, a nanny that didn't show up that morning. And then they get the phone call. Turns out the nanny died. All right. I knew right away that these rich whites knew nothing about their son. They were trying to feed him breakfast. It was like some eggs. And they were like, come on, you gotta eat your breakfast. And he was like, I can't eat that, man. It's too plain. And they're like, he was like, yeah, the little boy was like, it's too bland. And the dad was like, well, what do you want? And he said, like, the mango something. It was some homemade mango sauce that the nanny made. And so it was like labeled or whatever in a little Tupperware. So he came over, put some of that on the eggs, and the boy was like, and he's like, all right. And the little boy was like, all right. And then the dad tastes the fucking sauce, and he's just like, wow, that's really spicy. He's freaking out about this sauce because he can't handle it. And I'm just like, man, this nigga don't know shit. He don't know shit about his son. He definitely does not know shit about his son. And they have it where, you know, the nanny's dead. So now the parents have to do things for the son that the nanny would usually do. So the mom takes the little boy, her son, to school, and they get to the door, and she's like, all right, I'll see you later. And he's like, this little boy's like, nah, she usually walks me to my class. And, the mom's like, oh. And so they walk in, and, there's even a point, like, later on, the little boy has trouble sleeping. And he's like, yo, she usually rubs my back and sings for me when I'm having trouble sleeping. These are all things his parents just don't know, like, about him. Things, just random things. Like, you don't know shit about what your son likes to do, or, like, you don't even know how to, like, be around your kid. You don't even know how to be around your kid. But it was pretty interesting. So the whole theme of this series is that everything repeats itself. And you got these parents, these rich white parents that are so, wrapped up in working and just feeling like they need to work and make more money and provide this better life for their children, for their son here. But you can see clearly the son is being neglected from his actual parents. And then these parents take the kid to the funeral for Sylvia, the woman who was his nanny. And they go to the funeral, and it's this big whole, like, thing. And I just noticed during the whole thing, there's this woman sitting in the front who's Sylvia's daughter, and she just looks pissed off the entire time. And at one point, they're talking about how the woman, Sylvia, used to be a dancer, and all these things she did in the past, all these great things she did in the past. And they're saying how her favorite song, she started this dance program, and they had dancers from the program there at the funeral, and they were going to do a dance in her honor to her favorite song, which is Trini to the Bone. And little white boy get hyped up when they say Trini to the Bone, because, like, that's the song she would sing to him when he couldn't go to sleep. She would sing Trini to the Bone. So he's hyped, like, oh shit, Trini to the Bone. This shit hype. It's even an older white dude there who's just talking with a straight, like, Trinidadian, if that's how you say it, accent. He sounds like he's from Trinidad, but he's actually from Braxton or Brookston, or someplace in New York. I'm not sure what the fuck he said. But he's got his accent because he had wealthy parents who hired Sylvia to be his nanny. So he speaks with that accent because he was raised by Sylvia. Yeah, his parents, did them, like, it is what it is. So as this dance is happening, these people are dancing the Trini to the Bone in honor of Sylvia. And one of the daughters runs up to the microphone and is just like, stop this mess. And she just says, like, yeah, she was out there working all day, but, like, where was she when we needed her? Where was she when this happened? Where was she when that happened? She started going off about how, like, yes, her mom was just working and sending money to them to somehow provide a better life for them, but they never got to spend any time with her. They all feel neglected from her, and it's the theme of this season is that everything repeats itself. Everything repeats itself. Even with these super rich people over here, and even with these, just, I would say, normal income folk over here, everything repeats itself. No matter who you are, everything repeats itself. Man, this was a beautiful episode, all right? It was a really beautiful episode. Probably one of my favorite episodes of this season. Probably my favorite. It was pretty cool. The Trini to the Bone, just everything about it was pretty cool. if you guys are not watching Atlanta yet, what the fuck is wrong with you? This show is amazing. It's just amazing. And because I remember I was trying to tell a friend at work, I was like, because like she has not seen the show, and I've been like, yo, you gotta watch Atlanta. I'm like, as a black person, you need to watch Atlanta. But like, they have not gotten around to watch Atlanta. And I was like, yo, I'm not trying to ruin the show, but there's an episode where like black people are getting reparations. They're suing white people directly through like those ancestry fucking results. Being like, yo, family owned my great-great-grandfather for years, and now they're suing them and winning reparations. Like, that shit's crazy. If you guys are not watching this amazing show, like, but you're wasting your time with fucking Duck Dynasty and all the mother busters. I'm saying Duck Dynasty only because in one of the last episodes of Ozark, I say second to last episode of Ozark, one of the women in the show is just like sitting there watching Duck Dynasty. I didn't even know what the fuck she was watching, honestly. Before she said I'm watching Duck Dynasty, I was like, what is this obnoxious show that they made up for her to watch? Because it's niggas in a boat, all right, and there's just fish flying at them. Motherfuckers got like baseball mitts catching fish, and it was like just super goofy. I was like, what is this nonsense they made for her to sit there and watch? And she's like, I'm watching Duck Dynasty. It's great. And I'm like, dude, that doesn't look great. That looks fucking terrible. It looks fucking terrible. So that's why I just threw the Duck Dynasty in there. But no, you guys need to be watching Atlanta. It's fucking phenomenal. This episode was beautiful. I've been listening to that song, Trini to the bone. Sweet, sweet Tianti. Oh, Trini to the bone. It go to the bone. I love this song. Welcome to the island of the sun and... Anywho, it's a fire-ass song. If you guys want to hear what I'm talking about, just look up Trini to the bone, ladies and gentlemen. Trini to the bone, it go to the bone. Anywho, it's fire. So check it out. If I haven't sold you on it yet, then I probably never will. This past weekend, we had UFC Vegas 53. Sorry. We had UFC Vegas 53. And I didn't watch a lot of it. I did watch Gerald Meerschaert's fight. He fought Krzysztof Jotko. I think Gerald was on either a 2 or 3 fight win streak at that point. I was really hoping he won this fight. Well, going into it, I was really hoping Gerald won. Every time I see Krzysztof Jotko fight, and I hope I don't forget now, I'm like, this is the nigga with Vegeta tattooed on his arm. He got Vegeta on his shoulder. I'm like, I always want to root for that guy. I always want that guy to win. I forgot. But I wanted Gerald Meerschaert, Rufus Sport guy, to win. I want him to do some things. It was funny, before this fight, he was saying he's going to keep fighting scrubs. And I was thinking, like, is he considering Krzysztof Jotko a scrub? I didn't understand that comment going into this fight. And it wasn't like he got a savage beating, but it was a pretty one-sided fight. I felt like he kept throwing these, like, looping punches. Like, he'd just throw one. Gerald wasn't really throwing combinations. He would just kind of, like, throw one and then, like, try to get in and grapple. But the grappling wasn't being effective. He wasn't able to really do anything to Krzysztof. Krzysztof was able to take him down. So, yeah. Hopefully Gerald bounces back. after that one there. But in the main event, I did get to see the main event, which was Chito Vera versus Rob Font, and Chito Vera fucking battered Rob Font. I tuned in, I think it was the third round, and at this point, Font's face is probably a little bloody, maybe a little bruised. And then he fucking catches him with the knee. I didn't even see him knock him down in the second round. So in the third round, I see him catch him with that nasty knee, dude. And it's just like fucking Rob Font was dancing at that point. And I thought the fight was going to be over, but he was able to survive. But he looked fucking battered at the end of that fight. I'm looking at pictures of them standing there. You know, after the fight, when they do they raise Chito's hand and he's standing off to the side. It's like, dude, that don't even look like Rob Font anymore. It doesn't look like Rob Font anymore over there. He fucking beat that boy's ass. And if you look at the strike count, he landed like maybe 60 more fucking strikes on Chito, but Chito was eating that shit, all right? Chito was rolling with them punches. Chito has phenomenal defense. I was hating on Chito, right? I said Rob Font was going to dust that boy up. And when I looked at highlights, I was watching the videos of the Weasel. He was saying how Rob Font came out strong and was landing these like 3-punch combinations. And it was really like effective against Chito. I thought he was going to dust that boy up. I thought he was going to be a lot bigger than Chito in there, but he wasn't. He wasn't that much bigger than Chito in there. If anything, I thought Chito was bigger than him. And Chito was just fucking hitting him with front kicks, knees, just all. Chito fucked that boy up. Then you got Petr Yan. Piotr Yan is out here even shouting him out like, yo, that was not bad. He was like, we probably going to see each other in the octagon soon. That's fucking dope. Chito looked great out there. I'm going to be the first one to admit right now, I was hating on Chito. Chito's good. Chito's a lot better than I thought, all right? Chito should be where he is. And honestly, I don't know what would happen in a rematch with Chito Vera and Sean O'Malley. Sean O'Malley hasn't fought this level of competition. I don't know what would happen in a fight between Sean O'Malley and Rob Font. And I don't see that fight happening anytime soon. Sean is saying that he's going to just fight scrubs until they pay him like a fuck ton more money. He's just going to keep fighting scrubs. So I don't know, man. I was wrong about Chito. Chito is a lot better. He's gotten better. You know what I'm saying? He's improved. It's not like I was wrong. I mean, maybe I was wrong. Maybe I was a little harsh based off of like, just like whatever biases. I was maybe being a little harsh on Chito when I didn't need to be. But I see it now. Chito's got great defense in the stand-up, great striking. Like, he's slowly becoming a new Charles Oliveira. He's just fucking well-rounded and deadly everywhere. Deadly everywhere. Shout out to Chito. I can't wait to see his next fight. Cannot wait. Rob Font, I don't know, man. That boy got battered. I don't know what happens to him. Maybe he moves to 145 to a more natural weight class. But that boy got battered. He didn't make weight. He didn't make weight for that fight. So maybe he moves to 145 and we see what happens there. But Chito already battered him. I don't know what's going to happen with some bigger fighters up there. But we did not just have. We're going to move on to, honestly, I didn't put any notes here. I saw like half the fight between Amanda Serrano and Katie Taylor. And I was like, I just went to the gym like after work. I was closing that night. on Saturday, and I went to the gym after work. So, like, I was watching half the fight, but then, like, I just started doing my workout, and I didn't see the second half, but after the first half, I was like, ooh, Serrano's got this locked up. She knocking the bricks off this young lady. So I was like, yeah, this is a foregone conclusion, and I did my workout. Come out of the sauna, and I look at my phone, and it's like, Katie Taylor wins a split decision. I'm like, what? What did I see? Then all the headlines are like, this is probably like the greatest women's boxing match of all time. I'm like, what the fuck did I miss? Serrano was beating that ass for the first 6 rounds. She was beating that ass. I felt like Taylor had one good round in there. I think in round 5, she started to like really land and fight back. But then in round 6, Serrano was all over her again, landing these heavy body punches just all over her. So I was like, yeah, this is a foregone conclusion. But I was wrong. Katie Taylor somehow pulled it out. I would love to see the rematch. I would love to finish watching that fight and then see the rematch. Shout out to them. Shout out to Shakur Stevenson. I watched his fight. He's great. He is great. So shout out to that guy. That was great fights. And now we're going to talk about coming up, UFC 274, as I said, headlined by Charles Oliveira versus Justin Gaethje. And as you guys should know, if you're a long-time listener, I'm rolling with my boy, Duke Bronx. Ladies and gentlemen, I said 2 years ago, if you've been listening, I said 2 years ago that Charles would beat everybody in the division. I said Charles would beat Khabib. I said Charles would have beat Khabib and become champion. So I already said 2 years ago that I already said 2 years ago that Oliveira beats Gaethje. I said that 2 years ago, and I'm sticking by it. It's funny. I just watched an interview with with Gaethje, and he's still like downplaying. He's downplaying Oliveira as a fighter, and it's funny because he looks silly. He looks silly, and he keeps saying, I don't know. He's like, he doesn't really have like real power in the hands. He better hopes he just gets me down to the ground because I'm gonna be perfect that night. And so he better just pray that he gets me to the ground. And it's like, what if he don't get you to the ground? He'd knock you the fuck out with his hands. He'd knock you the fuck out with a jump fucking knee. What if he don't get you to the ground, nigga? Charles Oliveira ain't no slouch anywhere. He's not a slouch anywhere out there. Charles is gonna win. Charles Oliveira is going to beat Justin Gaethje. And if I'm wrong, I'll admit it here. But I'm telling you right now, Charles Oliveira is going to beat Justin Gaethje's ass. Mark my words. And in the co-main event, got Rose Namajunas, Milwaukee's own Rose Namajunas. High School of the Arts own Rose Namajunas. Taking on Carla Esparza. She's defending her belt against Carla Esparza in a rematch from about 10, 11 years ago. It was a while ago. They came off of the Ultimate Fighter, and the introduction of the belt for this weight class was the finale. Rose Namajunas, Carla Esparza. Winner, Carla Esparza. And now we finally have the rematch. Both two different fighters? I would say Rose is a much different fighter from the first fight. And I would say Carla Esparza is a more improved version of the fighter we saw that beat Rose. She's improved, but it's not like all of a sudden Carla Esparza is just an amazing striker. Or it's like nobody wants to stand up with Carla. That's not the case. But nobody really wants to stand up with Rose. And not too many people want to go to the ground with Rose. She's got pretty great jits. So I'm gonna have to go with Rose Namajunas here. But you know, the wrestling was a problem in the first fight, and it could rear its ugly head as a problem in this fight. And if it does, more power to Carla on becoming the second-time champion. But I'm rolling with Rose to get the W here. And all right, the People's main event. I will say this is the People's main event, and I will say I am not a man of the People's. I'm a the Bronx kind of guy. You know what I'm saying? But you got El Kakui, Tony Ferguson versus Michael Chandler. But, all right, I think it's pretty much with the way we've seen Ferguson fight in his last few fights, pretty timid, that most people are of the opinion that Chandler's going to come in here and kind of walk through Ferguson. My thing about it, I think, you know, when I was watching that Chandler Gaethje fight, and I was so upset with Chandler. Chandler kept like raising his hands, like, come on, like just walking forward with his hands up, taking clean punches. If there's any type of motherfucker here that would actually lose to Tony Ferguson just for the sake, for entertainment's sake, that lets himself get caught because he's just trying to put on a show, it's Michael Chandler. If there's anybody that's going to fuck around and lose to Tony Ferguson, it's Michael Chandler. And I really hope he don't do that dumb shit. I want to see the kind of Michael Chandler that we saw in the Dan Hooker fight. Come in there, use your leg kicks, just stalk this man. Because the Tony Ferguson we've seen is pretty timid. Tony Ferguson has been pretty timid lately. But if you give that man opportunities, if you want to put on a show, man, no, just take this man to the ground. We've seen what happened. What happened with Oliveira? Tuck him to the ground, dominated him. Well, he dominated him everywhere. Dominated him with the striking, that beautiful front kick. Oh, man, I'm a big Oliveira fan, and if you guys are not, and if you watch the sport and you're not an Oliveira fan, you're crazy. You're crazy. How do you watch this? But I knew he was going to dominate him, and if you go back, you'll see that I called it. I said Oliveira was going to dominate Ferguson. But he took him down, and that was too much for him. I mean, Gaethje didn't take him down. Gaethje just beat the shit out of him to the point where he was like, nah, I'm done. You know what I'm saying? He goes, nah, I'm done. Ran out of there. And so then he fought, was it Dariush next? Was that the very next fight? Beneil Dariush? People listening to this podcast, please answer for me. Is that Beneil Dariush? Yeah, he lost to Gaethje, then Oliveira, then Dariush. That's what it is. That 2019 win over Donald Cerrone ain't looking so good these days. It didn't age too well. That fucking 2018 corner stoppage of Anthony Pettis ain't looking so good these days when he's getting fucking dominated by Clay Collard. All right? He's getting his ass beat by Clay Collard. I'm just looking at your fucking fraudulent resume, Tony. I'm not the biggest Tony fan. I think he should lose here easily. And that will be the end of Tony Ferguson. Maybe he does some boxing or some shit. Maybe he boxes Jake Paul or some shit for a fat payday. I would watch Tony Ferguson box Jake Paul. I think that's the best thing he could do is box Jake Paul because he's not going to be UFC champion. That's never happening. I think this is going to be his last fight in the company. So rest in peace to Tony Ferguson's career. in the UFC, and hopefully he can box Jake Paul for a big payday after he's released from the UFC. And hopefully, if you guys would like to follow this podcast on Instagram and Twitter, you could do that at Babylon5Pod. And if you guys would like to email this podcast, except for this scamming ass nigga that keep emailing me, this nigga's name is Jin Taras Vikis. Whoever the fuck you are, scamming ass nigga. Nigga sent me like 3 emails. Like, hey man, please click this link. I emailed him. Well, I didn't email him. I Googled this nigga's name. And it's like, there's an Instagram of this nigga with fish. It's called, like, whatever his name is, fishing. And I was like, yeah, this is him trying to tell you. Because it's fishing with a PH. Like, this is him trying to tell you that he out here scamming niggas. I don't know how y'all niggas be just letting motherfuckers scam you like that. But I see it right away. As I said to my wife, like, the first clue that niggas is trying to scheme on me is that niggas hit me up, because don't nobody hit me up. So the first time you reach out, I already know it's some bullshit. Nobody hit your boy up. I already know it's some bullshit. But if you guys want to email your boy, email your boy at babylon5podcast@gmail.com. You guys should hit that like button anywhere you're listening to this podcast. If you made it this far, I appreciate you so much. If you guys are on Twitch, go ahead and follow me at twitch.tv/Babylon5. If you guys want to cop some merchandise, head on over to teespring.com/stores/BOFpod-shop. And lastly, don't just be my niche, be my patron. Be my patron. Go on over to patreon.com/Babylon5Pod. And I thank you guys so much for being here with me another week. You know what's whack? All right, I'm recording this fucking episode with my MacBook because my Mac Mini is taking a fucking shit on me. It sat on that bus and it took a shit, all right? That's what my Mac Mini's doing. It's fucking not opening. I can't use Studio One with it anymore. For whatever reason, it'll say can't find these files. It'll say, error, can't load this. I don't know what's going on. But the MacBook is holding up right now. I bought the Mac Mini because this thing used to get so fucking loud. It was like, yo, this thing's gonna explode is how I felt. It'd be just super loud. Sounds okay right now. But then, like, damn, did I waste money on this fucking Mac Mini? Jesus Christ. It was a toss-up. It was a toss-up because that M1 chip wasn't really... A lot of things aren't compatible with the M1. So it was a toss-up, but could have been my fault. It is what it is, but if I can fix it, hopefully I can. And I'll try my best, but... Thank you guys so much for being here another week. I will see you guys next week, and we can talk about the end of Tony Ferguson and how Charles Oliveira beat Justin Gaethje's ass. We can talk about all this next week on episode 142. Thank you guys so much for being here for episode 141, 2D Bone. I hope you guys are taking care of yourselves and each other. And I'll see you when I see you. I'll holla.
Chant down Babylon kingdom. Team make we chant down Vatican now. Bang the ling bling chant down Babylon kingdom. Team make we chant down Vatican now. Chant down Babylon kingdom. Team make we chant down Vatican now. Bang the ling bling chant down Babylon kingdom. Team make we chant down Vatican.